everyone. Welcome to another episode of Relative Pitch. It's been a wild week. There's been a lot going on in the socials and the media. People are wilding. I guess it's getting too warm. Actually, it's not warm. I will have to say that it is not summer yet. I don't know about y'all, but it's about to be 50-something degrees tomorrow here.
It's pretty warm.
Where?
Here.
Didn't you just say it was snowing yesterday?
It was.
So
This is why Michael is not a credible source.
The sun is out, and in Michigan, that means a lot. And it's 51 degrees today. Compared to what we had in the winter, this is warm.
Okay, relativity. This is relative pitch. I'll hear it. But y'all, I passed my orals. If y'all don't know what orals are, at least for certain schools, it's like you have to, it's like a defense of basically knowledge that you should have known or should know by this point in your degree. Everyone's does it differently. Michael's, they didn't get their questions until the day of. I got my questions 2 weeks ahead of time, but also my orals were like almost 2 hours. I don't know. Michael, how long were your orals?
An hour.
An hour, yeah. And so it's not necessarily like a thesis defense or anything, because it wasn't that deep, but it was like I got questions and I had to answer them, and they were really like questions and questions and questions and questions, and had to explain and all this other stuff. So I guess go academia. Yay.
I mean, just really, was it worth it?
I think, if anything, I'm a person who I would have rather spoken to my own thing. So I wasn't necessarily like, questions are fine. Like, I feel like if they were like, we're going to do 30 minutes of rapid questions at the end, but then for the other hour and a half or whatever, we want you to present or whatever you think would accurately depict what you have learned and gained from this educational experience. Because I feel like in that sense, you get way more individuality when it comes to, some people may want to do like kind of like a lecture recital. Some people may want to do more like a TED. I would have done like a TED Talk presentation on all the different research I've been doing and all these things, you know what I mean? So there could have been a lot. There's way more room for creativity, I think, that's formatting is not allowing for. But I feel like they're nervous that there's going to be a wide range of different types, if that makes sense. Like, you have people like me who I would be extra. Yes, I already said I would do like a whole TED Talk experience type thing, but there may be people who won't do any of that and who may just come in with like something to read off a page. But I don't know. Like, I think that also counts and shows about that individual or that student, right? Depending on how much they went into it. So I would be more interested in a system that would allow for more of that, more creativity, because then you'll get to see a way wider range of like that, if that makes sense.
Some schools do that. They're called lecture recitals.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I mentioned.
Masters, though.
Yeah, some schools make you do a lecture recital and a solo recital.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it should be allowed. Like, if you wanted to do a lecture recital, cool. But I wouldn't even have done it. Maybe I would have done a lecture recital, but I would have been doing more speaking and talking.
Yeah, because I actually think a lot of the conducting programs, it is more of a lecture recital, both for master's and doctoral degrees. And for some reason, it's really highly like transcription based in our field. Like a lot of conducting people, they'll do a transcription in the wind band medium, of course, do a transcription, do a lecture recital, perform the piece, boom, you got the degree. That's kind of how it is. But the orals, was your orals worth it, Michael? Or do you think it was worth it?
No.
Michael was pissed at his orals, I will say. So
well, here's my thing.
Speak on it.
I understand that I should know the history of my instrument, but it's 2022. I don't care about the Renaissance and what my trumpet did in the Renaissance anymore.
Now, hold on. Okay. For those of you who are listening who do not know Michael Brown personally, when we were in undergraduate, okay, all Michael spoke about was Renaissance and Baroque.
Baroque.
And what a
It's great
trumpet.
music. I love the music still to this day.
That was like all he cared about. He didn't care about anything past the Baroque period.
Thank you, Lauren.
I mean,
Thank you. So, first of all, and also, I lived with him. Okay, so double annoying of listening to Renaissance and Baroque, and oh my gosh, this trumpet, this, and I'm like, Michael, I don't give not a damn. I'm sorry, love.
Okay. Now you're gonna make me lose
Speak on it. Speak with your chest. Speak with your chest. Come on.
Something changed.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's be real. Let's be
clear. Let's be clear.
Okay.
Tucker.
So we had the medieval, great music. Mwah, loved it. Renaissance, great music. Mwah, loved it. There is not a lot of music that grooves, that lets you improv, and has a in the classical field. Yeah, y'all turning your heads. Name an area of music that grooves, lets you improvise, and still have a classical feel. In the classical music, Western classical music idiom. Name another time period where you could improvise and it was socially acceptable.
Now, I guess whatever we're in right now.
What is it?
Whatever they're gonna call it in history books. I don't know. 21st century.
Not written in orchestras. That's only live electronic music. Still not socially acceptable all the time.
Yeah, maybe for ensemble.
So, anyways, Renaissance, Baroque, you could do all that stuff. Then we go into this white hair system of boring music that everybody keeps listening to and playing from. All the concertos. Oh, this guy was a genius. Blah, 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 blah. No one cares about him.
Hey, so glad that you said that. Because I have a question. Have y'all listened to Beethoven 6?
No.
Oh, is that the Patatique? Or Pastoral? Pastoral.
Mm-hmm. So last night I had the pleasure of listening to the UCF Symphony Orchestra. Mind you, beautiful ensemble. Beautiful ensemble. They made beautiful music. They played Fountains of Rome, Respighi. The first piece was that beautiful playing, absolutely beautiful play. Also, they did something really cool. So right now UCF is doing, I forgot, they're doing a festival. It's the arts festivals, basically. So for 2 or 3 weeks, like all of their groups from the new music ensemble, the symphony orchestra, the wind bands, the choirs, the chamber ensemble, they're doing all these arts and they're like co-collaborating with the electronics department, the arts department. Like it's like so cool, y'all. Really love it. So last night they did Beethoven 6. And then the second movement, that's really like the pastoral, movement, which they did something really cool. The arts department actually created a whole story that went with that movement and they showed it. We're watching like this, what they came up with, and like the orchestra is like playing with it, beautiful. However, Beethoven's boring. Specifically that one.
I wasn't even talking about Beethoven. I was talking about Mozart, but we can also talk about Beethoven. We knew
what you were talking about. We can say that.
I mean,
I just want to make sure.
Honestly, them in that classical period, I'm just like, I know what's happening.
And so to further my point, then skip over the classical period. No one cares about it. Now we get into the romantic period. It's rah, 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 fine. It's okay.
Not rah, rah. What does that mean?
Wagner wrote some of the most beautiful music we're ever going to hear. Blah, blah. He's a horrible person. Let's move on. Then we have Mahler and Strauss. Strauss wanted to kill the entire idea of a symphony, which our society won't let him do because we call everything he wrote as a tone poem because we're kind of stupid. But, let's not talk about that. Then we get into Mahler. He was cool. And then now we get into some cool stuff. And the most progressiveness of, like, wind bands and pushing those forward. But we don't also have professional wind bands. So, anyways, we don't care about that either. So, what I don't care about is all of that. I just would rather speak on other stuff instead of the history of the trumpet. I know the big stuff, but, like, why do I need to walk around and tell you the treaties of how they used to ornament? I know how to ornament. I know how to do it in a Renaissance style. They're not even called ornamentations. They're called divisions. Okay? But also...
Knowledge.
But also, let's talk about... Let's create a thing between hip-hop and, back then, Renaissance and Baroque. Sampling. Huge in hip-hop right now. What was huge in the Baroque and Renaissance? Borrowing and paying homage to other composers. That kind of died when the symphony started. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this, but then they're going to remember me more than you. No, we're paying homage. We're taking their art. We're saying, we love you. You inspired us. Boom. There's connections that can be made. And then, until we accept all these connections and accept every genre of music, they're never going to be combined in a way that's meaningful. Like, we listen to Gershwin. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Continue.
We listen to Gershwin. We're listening to Gershwin. It was like, oh, that's such, like, we hear the jazz harmonies and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool, but he stole that. And that's more like Tin Pan Alley stuff. That's not like, no. And we listen to new music now written by composers, and we hear hip hop and stuff influences, but it's sometimes really direct. I love that. I want to know if composers are going to soon. Another thing that we talked about, composers don't write music just to write music anymore. Some people write it for a check. And tell the people who write it only for a check, because that thing gets stale, and white like this paper. So, thank you for my tech talk. It has been amazing, and I will see you later.
Okay. I will have to say though, the thing I did enjoy about mine was because it seemed like, Michael, didn't you had like 10 different questions and they were just able to ask you guys
9.
They could get 9 questions. So for me, instead I had my committee, and my committee all gave me 1 question, and like I said, they were very in-depth questions. So basically all of them took rather 30 minutes to get through all the question and everything. None of my questions were like, describe the history of the flute and talk about these 4 white dudes who are credited for the beginning of the flute. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Now, would I have expected that? Absolutely. Based off of all the things I have learned and the things that we're supposed to be expected to know just off the cuff for whatever reason. But instead, my questions were more in terms of opinions, like why would you consider these recordings excellent? Like, figure out like different like underrepresented pieces that you are able to that could be used instead of pieces that are overrepresented, and like talk about the comparisons and da da da. And I'm like, yeah, that's literally everything I already do. But that is what I'm an advocate for, is for bringing underrepresented artists and composers into the space, into the conversations. And so in that sense, I feel we just need to get away from this idea that like everyone should write a dissertation on the history of their instrument. I don't know who, that's the biggest thing. Think about how many dissertations you've read. For real. Think about how many dissertations you've read. And like, think about like, were you pleasure reading for, if you were, like, I have never sat down and looked up dissertations for the history of the flute. I'm really interested to know who has written about. Too many are out there, I promise you. I don't care. Like, what? So if you're getting these people to write dissertations on things that no one even cares about or wants to know about anymore, what? It's a waste. It's a waste. You could be doing writings on things that are groundbreaking, that are new, that'll push and propel the field forward, but instead you're throwing us back however many years into the past on things we already know. They're doing research on stuff that's already been found. You know what I mean? Like, find new stuff. Like, go in a different direction, form a different opinion, like something. So that's, yeah, I hate that. Anyway.
So there is this book right here.
A Concise History of the Wind Band by David Whitwell.
Okay. So why did I go to some conferences, and there was a session given on the history of the wind band? I don't care.
It's all in that book. The book is very good.
And I look how dense. Let's just go to.
Oh, it's dense.
Like this right here. The book is this thick there. If I really, 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 really wanted to know, I'll just read this book. I should not, need to go to an hour lecture, conference session to hear about it. And again, like you said, you're looking backwards instead of looking forward to continue to make things better. We're looking at how white people started playing wind instruments, and then it became this and then became that and then became that. That's wonderful. That's really, really wonderful. And for people like us, where this like we were not allowed to play those instruments in this field. This isn't my history, babe.
Isn't.
You want to? Okay, I have a question. This might be problematic. It's okay.
I'm scared.
After like, let's say 1925, has there ever been a good third movement of anything?
I don't really listen to big works like that.
Especially solo and chamber works.
I guess I mean the Lieberman concerto. I have to say the third movement of that is pretty high. The flute concerto. That's it for me in my head. I'm thinking.
Is it as good as the first two movements?
I think it's honestly better than the first movement. That second movement, that's a tie, but maybe it's just because I could play it better now. I'm like, it's better than the first move. But no, I overall the orchestration, if you actually listen to it with the recording of with the orchestras, the orchestration for the third movement is like cinematic. Like it's super cool to listen to.
There's a lot of people who've thrown away their third movements. I'm like, just stop writing at two. If that's all you ran out of ideas, leave it. I'm telling you, we can leave on a slow time.
Well, I'm pretty sure when you say third movie, you mean three out of four, right?
No, 3 out of 3.
Oh, most of it, right? Like the fourth movement should be the like lively, stuff like that.
Most
If it's a finale, it needs to be a finale.
I'm not really talking about big orchestral works or big works. I'm talking about like solo and chamber works. A lot of third movements suck. Like I was reading through stuff the other day, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna play this piece. First, second movement is cool. Third movement, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
What did you do?
I think, I mean, I really like I mean, we're not talking about large ensemble works, but you know, the third movement of Sibelius, like the second symphony, it is immediately a taka into the fourth movement. So it's like he uses the entire movement as a bit wind up. Like, and you're going down, you're going up, you're going down, you're going up, and then boom, the fourth movement hits into the big da da dee da, like that whole part and everything. I like that because I felt like it was there was a connection between it and everything between them, so they went together like they floated, so it made sense because he was already thinking ahead. You could tell he was thinking ahead. Sometimes now especially it feels like the movements are a little too disconnected to the point of like it's like how people are saying like isn't there a Beyonce quote where she's like people don't write albums anymore, there's just a bunch of songs together on like a CD, it's like that whole thing because a symphony, a large work in general, should feel like it flows together effortlessly,
I'm sorry, you brung up the queen, so I have to pose the question. Let's go to the Oscars.
Ooh.
So my girl, my favorite girl in the world, Miss Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter, she was nominated
Mm.
for an Oscar for what song, best movie score song, whatever, for her song with
King Richard, the
Richard. First of all, if y'all have not heard the song, go listen to the song. Just the first 25 seconds of the song is amazing. The cluster chord that she has is such suspense. She has really mastered her instrument, her voice, to where she could layer her voice and it sounds like this big choir in tune, everything. Also, when she actually does the solo work, the amount of control she has over her voice, beautiful. And even in the live performance that she did at the Oscars was just like that. Now, she didn't win. Billie Eilish won
no time,
for that, for her
no time
song,
to die, yeah, and
yeah, for the James Bond film. Um, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
okay. Being someone who I enjoy both of those artists, first of all, it's like apples and oranges in that sense of like they're completely different styles. I think of like a genre. It's a big difference in the sound, and I appreciate and respect both sounds. I appreciate Beyonce on the sense that she's been in this game, like this is hers. Like that sound she had, like you said, she has developed and worked for the sound that she has for such a long time, and it's like almost like effortless. Like all she's doing is every time she is proving that she still has it and that she's taking it a step above every single time. Like she's in competition with herself at this point, which I think she knows. I think we know. You know what I mean? So when she gets nominated in these categories, it's like we already know she is capable and deserving of that award that she is nominated for. It's just a matter of what in the world what the idea behind giving the award to that person that year. What are they thinking? You know, who's in the seats? Billie Eilish is so young. I think she's about to turn 20 or just turned 20. I can't remember.
I think she just turned 21.
Or 21 maybe. I can't. I know she's either 20 or 21. But she's super young. She has a very her just like I think or not thing. Just like Beyonce came out and was like, this is my style and everything. I think Billie Eilish came out and really wanted to separate herself from everyone else in that type of field that she is in, and she's doing it really well in a very interesting way. Like she did a collab, like a project with LA Phil and Dudamel and all that, and it was really interesting. And so for
She's
me,
20.
yeah, she's 20. I would have been interested in. I would have been like, yeah, it would have made sense for either one of them to have won for me because I think they both for what they worked on and have achieved by their own ages is amazing. And so for me, I'm just like it depends on the day. I feel like if it were a different group of people who were doing it that year, Beyonce would have won. And this year it was just a collective that pushed for Billy more for whatever reasons and everything. So like I don't have any negative, if that
I
makes
think
sense.
one of those reasons, though, is because people are calling it the James Bond, the James Bond effect. Because anytime a James Bond record is nominated in this category, they're gonna win. Like in
Did Adele win?
20, yeah, Skyfall won
Okay,
in
Skyfall, yeah.
2012. Then 2015, I forgot the artist who did the song for that, but I believe they won the Oscar. And then this one also won the Oscar as well. So I don't know what it is about the Academy likes to
I didn't
hear
know that. I
James
did know the
Bond.
Adele one. Adele Skyfall still in
Now,
my
I love me some Sky. I
like that was
love
good.
that piece. Um, but it was it's a time. I don't know what the Academy likes about a James Bond, but it's interesting.
It's like the same thing with the Grammys and Bruno.
Is it? Oh, he just keeps stacking. Also, I have to say,
He hasn't
Bruno-
lost anything. since
I don't think Bruno
2014.
Mars has ever lost anything when he has been nominated for the Grammys.
Well, since 2014.
It's 2014.
But let's talk about that because I have a hot take on that.
Ooh.
In 2014, what style of music did he start to change dominantly to?
He was big on like it was first just.
Is that before
That's
Grenade or after?
2009.
Is
That's
that before?
Huh?
Is that before Grenade or after Grenade?
I'll
catch a grenade.
That's after. So literally, there's a separation of 2014, before 2014 and after 2014. 2014, do you know what song came out in 2014?
Was it Uptown Funk?
That. And what style of music is that?
I mean,
R&B,
it's black.
What style would you say? Just the Way You Are, Grenade,
pop
more than Justin Timberlake-y. Like he could have sang those songs.
So prior to 2014, he wasn't really being recognized. Like it was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good music. I had it in my little iPod Nano, you know, when you had to turn the dial. I was listening to it. But 2014, the style changed to R&B, to this soul, to this funk. Mm-hmm. Now, Uptown Funk is honestly just a ripoff of the funk artists like Morris Day and the Time, some Prince stuff. And to some, a lot of that music was really overlooked for a while. It was completely overlooked. Never really won any awards for anything. Now, 2014, Bruno brings it back. So from 2014 to now, whenever Bruno has been nominated for something, he has won. Now, why is that?
I have no answer to that, but I will say the funniest meme on earth is watching someone put 2 videos of "I'll catch a grenade for you," then go into "This bitch got me paid." That was the funniest meme I've ever seen in my life. But anyway,
I think that's the whole thing, is that he completely changed. Whether he knew it or his managers knew it, but he was like, if you want to get like recognized, you have to go this different direction. And we see that in different industries too. We see why the Kardashians got famous. They're not pale anymore, right? Like, it's the same thing. It keeps happening. It's this idea of like, and he's been what is it, accused of cultural appropriation, because is Bruno black?
Hawaiian.
He has no, yeah, right.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's not black. Like, that's
Not
the
at
whole
all.
thing. So you're taking on the identity of this culture that is very black, and stacking up all these awards because of it. And the thing
that, and now I mean, to my knowledge, I haven't heard anything about how Bruno is problematic in that sense, in which I think he's actually addressed that rhetoric of, you know, cultural appropriation, because he said, like, I grew up on this music. Like, I grew up listening to Prince. I grew up, you know, listening to Michael Jackson. I grew up listening to these artists, and this is the music that I love, which is totally fine. But when there are other, you know, is to me, whenever I see something and I know the true artists that are in this field have been working their asses off forever and not getting the recognition, and then here is somebody who is digestible to multiple different audiences getting all these awards, I'm like, what about you? These people have been doing this forever. That's my only thing.
I have to, because you just said that, I have two different takes, or not two different takes, but two different examples of this. First of all, I'm going to start with Silk Sonic. Anderson .Paak has been Anderson .Paak for forever, right? So why is he just now? Why is he just now? Because he's next to Bruno Mars that he's getting the recognition. Second, Doja Cat, SZA. Love both of them. But SZA has even said, it was like, why have I never been asked to perform on these stages? But Doja Cat's been everywhere. Everywhere.
First of all, SZA has been, now mind you, both of SZA, and because I've been a fan before any of this, okay? SZA first came out probably 2013, 2014. I remember I was like a sophomore in high school, and she had came out right before then. This is when Willow Smith was doing like her real R&B tease. Also Doja Cat, because Doja Cat's first, well, one of her first like big songs was this piece called So High. Go listen to it. That's like true Doja Cat. This is like when she had just dropped out of high school. She was making music on her like little MacBook. Like, that's when I was a fan. So all of them kind of came out at the same time. Okay. So Doja Cat went underground and came back. SZA actually stayed more consistently going up. SZA's album Control a couple years ago was a banger. And I don't even think it was Grammy nominated.
Everyone, it got so cold. Yes,
Love Galore, like very much, like all of those were like absolute bangers. I don't even think it was Grammy nominated. Somebody fact check me. I don't even think it was Grammy nominated.
I'll look it up.
And I also don't think she was never asked to do the Grammys. And now, you know, Doja Cat, since Doja Cat really got really, really big during COVID, because TikTok really launched her career. And so now, you know, she's getting her just due. And this is why I don't have a personal
Control
problem.
Was nominated for Urban Contemporary Album.
Mm-hmm.
Just one.
Yeah.
It was that. Okay. And then she had R&B performance of The Weeknd.
And then Love Galore did melodic rap performance. Supermodel was for R&B song.
So she's had, the thing about it, she's had
the noms. She's had the noms. But still, okay, she has Grammy nominations. Why haven't the Grammys asked her to perform? Even now with the song with Doja Cat, why haven't they asked to perform?
Because the Weeknd, right? That's another artist who's been snubbed from the Grammys for a really long time. Wouldn't you say? I mean, the Weeknd has more of this kind of like electronic, like old, funk type of thing, but it's that very similar thing where it's kind of like maybe similar styles, but he's always more snubbed by the
Yeah.
Grammys. You know what I
And
mean?
also like I would say the Weeknd's music has honestly been very consistent since
Super
he first came
consistent.
out because he came out around the same time as SZA, Doja Cat, all the like 2013, like that era of music, because that era of music was actually like underground, like all the like indie kids, they were like listening to these artists. We didn't want the mainstream, so we was listening to them. But now all of those artists who were like underground are now mainstream artists now. And but I would say his music has been very consistent. SZA's music has been very consistent. Doja Cat's music has even been consistent as well. But still, not a lot of awards. Another artist who just got some recognition, and I'm so glad, even though he was problematic for a while, but his music is really amazing. Tyler the Creator. Tyler the Creator's music, I mean, he was a very underground artist and still kind of considered to be underground. But he performed at the Grammys with Charlie Wilson, Boyz II Men. I love that album. That Igor, loved Igor, and actually won a Grammy. And actually, when he released Igor, it actually went #1 and made DJ Khaled pissed, because DJ Khaled, what does DJ Khaled always have to say?
He yells on songs.
DJ Khaled, that's
and
it.
What does he say? We are number what?
We are. Wait, yeah, this is true.
Huh?
We the best music.
We the best music, and always he's gonna say we are #1. So when him and Tyler released their album at the same time, and Tyler's album went #1, DJ Khaled's went #2, he was pissed. He called Tyler the Creator a foo-foo, not real rap music, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm sitting there like, DJ, you don't even do your own music. Like,
he's a producer.
DJ Khaled be going, he be like, hey, let me yell on your song real quick. That's all he does. Like, let me yell on your song.
People don't even know that that's his song, because all we hear is a Jay-Z or a SZA or whomever. We're like, oh yeah, that's SZA's song. No, it's DJ Khaled featuring SZA. Ooh.
Right, featuring.
Featuring.
One person that also in a problematic past, we're gonna has never won a Grammy. Can you name one artist who has, like, you thought have maybe won a Grammy? Female rap artist?
You talk about Nicki.
Yeah.
Oh, because there's been multiple people that has not won a Grammy. But Nicki Minaj obviously had a chokehold on female rap for over a decade.
Since 2011.
No, 2009. Okay.
But yes, like, that was the first time she was nominated. It was 2011. From then into, like, I mean, we saw the chokehold she still has when, was it Beam Me Up Scotty? Is that the official name of it? Mm-hmm. Was released and got how many downloads in a night?
Yeah.
He still has a chokehold over the thing. And I'm gonna go back. So maybe the switch of Bruno Mars, right? Maybe his producers did the right move and told him to switch. He started winning. There are some people out there who have not told their artists to start switching, and they are stagnating. They have the same flow, the same BPM, the same everything. And if they don't switch soon...
Not you calling out Megan Thee Stallion.
And if they don't switch soon, I fear for their careers.
But, like, the only thing I don't like about that is, again, going back to what we were saying, he switched over to something he wasn't. And so there are artists in that category who are...
That's true.
That is their culture, that their heritage, and they're not even getting looked at because of it. Because Anderson .Paak should have had one.
Right, Anderson .Paak, I mean, and there's multiple... Now, here's the thing people don't really realize.
Didn't Kanye switch to gospel one year and win it all?
He did. But also, the thing with Kanye is he grew up listening to that. His mother was in the church. Like... It's not something out of left field,
right?
Especially from what he started. I mean, if you go back and listen to Kanye's early music, he samples gospel music. Like, he samples this music. So it's nothing completely new to him. And which I cannot say the same thing about Bruno Mars, because when he first came out, he was on the pop radio. I mean, and the only reason I really knew, because Grenade really never got played on R&B radio. Just the Way You Are, is that the one with B.O.B., right?
No, that's
I have
Airplane.
no idea.
Airplanes, right? Oh no, that's B.O.B. and
Yeah, B.O.B.
but I don't know if Bruno Mars was on Airplanes. I can't remember.
Yeah, so B.O.B. That's the only way it kind of got played on R&B radio.
Nothing on You.
B.O.B. Nothing on You.
Oh, I got nothing on you.
Yes.
Oh, they use that in like fashion shows.
That was my first introduction as a person who only listened to R&B radio. That was my first introduction to Bruno, is from that song, because B.O.B. is a rap artist, boom, and it really kind of played very well. And then just the way, that piece was just everywhere. So like, but 2014 with Uptown Funk is a whole different, and then everything else. And then let's actually talk about what is Silk Sonic. And also, another thing that pisses me off. I've seen people say Bruno Mars and Silk Sonic, like Anderson .Paak is just not there.
It is Silk Sonic. Like they created that entity together, like it's two individual artists together.
Now, again, as an R&B soul funk lover and very passionate about this, I'm glad this music is here, but I wish there was more appreciation. And this is probably one of the only times people who are listening will ever hear me say, something about like old music, R&B music. I'm just gonna call it, it's back in the 70s, the 80s, when funk was really a thing. Give the appreciation to the people that came before them, because they were working their asses off. Some of them, like Miss Anita Baker. If you don't know Anita Baker, go listen to her. She just now got her credits to all of her music. Okay. She started making music in 1983 and won Grammys, won the Soul Train Awards, won it all, but did not own her own music because of her record company. 2022, she just won and got it all to her. Here are what R&B, soul, funk artists were dealing with back then to now. So let's put some respect on those people's names.
And I'll have to say, because what a lot of people there may be a take out there that you stick to your own genre and no, because there are artists who can jump and everything, because like Beyonce has dipped into her little country roots and everything, and people are like, that's not that. I'm like, country music is black, bluegrass black, so don't do that. Like there are different genres that is first of all ours, and so that's the difference, and like that's why whenever it was like the Kanye gospel thing, that's black, like, so that makes sense again, and also that's his roots and everything. Bruno Mars ain't got no roots over there, none. So that's where I'm kind of like, I can't really justify that like I justify Kanye, Beyonce, and everything, because that's not his heritage and everything. It's different growing up and listening to that music and everything, but then I don't like how, my biggest thing is I don't like about it is, why did it take for him to, who is not even a part of the culture, to sing this music, to have this aesthetic for people to start paying attention? That's what I don't like about it.
And
You
another
can keep doing it, but that's what I feel.
And another, now mind you, it's good music. Like I love Leave the Door Open. I really do. I really enjoy it. And the reason I really cared for it, I love me some Anderson .Paak. I did before he was into, I knew who Anderson .Paak was before then. But what I will have to say, I have two things. One, about the Grammys, I'm so glad that my girl Jasmine Sullivan.
I was about to bring that up.
One, because Jasmine Sullivan has been in the industry since 2009, with her first album, which I absolutely love, which is still on repeat for me. She's been doing great. And her newest album, Hotels, is chronicle her life and everything. And I love it. And I'm so glad that she's getting the recognition that she deserves. She has a vocal Bible. Homegirl can run, her deep, raspy voice. I love it. But it's also funny because one of her Grammys, she actually tied with Silk Sonic for Best R&B Song. It was Pick Up Your Feelings and Leave the Door Open. Both won it together. Mm-hmm. So the Academy could not let Silk Sonic not win in a category that they were in. So like they had to. So I'm glad for that. on Michael's point, I'm disappointed that Nicki has not won a Grammy because she definitely deserves it. So does Lil Kim. So does other rap artists as well. But my other thing, I will have to bring attention to the reggae genre. Um,
Oh my gosh.
the reggae for the Grammys. So, mind you, all of the nominees in this reggae genre, except for one, was like Jamaican artists, where reggae is big. You know, that's where whenever you think reggae, you think Jamaica or somehow connected to the islands. No, they gifted this award to white dreadlock wearing men that did a reggae album.
They're Virginia based. They're Virginian based.
Good old South.
The Virginia based band won their award, Beauty in the Silence. They're from Virginia. What?
Like, what the hell is that? Like, what in the hell is that?
This is what I mean, but they gotta be fucking with us.
They have who? I want to know who voted for it.
The people.
Oh, what do we say before we turn the cameras on about being digestible for certain audience members? That's all I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say about Bruno Mars. That's what I'm gonna say about this little whoever they are, little Virginians.
Not little Virginians.
Like digestible. It's what is digestible and understandable and familiar for this the whoever recording academy or whatever.
And I believe now this may be wrong, but I think this is how like I know the Oscars work this way, and I think the Grammys work this way. But if you've been nominated in a category, you receive the privilege to vote. Now I because yeah, so I think that's how it works. If you've been nominated in a category, you now have the kind of a voting privilege. So I don't know how that one because the other artists, I think Spice was nominated. Spice is known as dance hall queen.
Yeah.
If you don't know dance hall music, listen to Drake. What was that Drake dance hall?
I need a one
dance. I need a one dance. One dance.
Yeah.
That's dance hall music. That's dance hall music. It comes from the islands. It comes from Jamaica. But Spice is known as like queen of dance halls. And I think she was nominated and didn't win. A lot of people were upset because it was like, we give it to a white man when the queen of dance hall was nominated. Come on.
I like how they say, however, a non-Jamaican Arlington, Virginia-based white reggae band was nominated. I was just like, oh my God. They really said, in what way does this make sense? Sorry. Arlington, Virginia?
That's literally the furthest thing from what reggae actually means.
Literally. So yeah, I think there are people who are like, well, she's more dance hall than she is like this and da-da-da. I'm like, well, isn't there kind of a grouping that automatically happens with that anyway? So like.
Also, dance hall music is a subgenre of reggae.
Exactly.
It's like funk music is a subgenre of R&B. They are connected. Yep.
And that's why I was like, those seem invalid. Like, I'm like, we're
like that argument is definitely bullshit because you were trying to start a narrative that fits what your belief is, and exactly. It's wrong. And it's wrong.
Very wrong. Because they know they were wrong. I'm sorry, there's no way. No way.
They're wrong. But you know, these award shows, they continue to just let us know that they are so out of touch from what is in the real world.
And I just want to say, talking about just wild and people who think they woke are not being woke, I have to kind of point out this little stuff happening in our own field here. You know, we've talked a lot about performativism and people just trying to say words and show solidarity through words. Stop it. Stop. It's getting embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for y'all because y'all don't know. I don't know who y'all got working behind these computers computers.
They got fired. That shit was funny.
Listen, y'all. So
It was
what
funny as
happened?
hell.
Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York. You know, Eastman for knowing all these. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, everyone wants to always say how these schools are. They're learning, they're growing. Look at their diversity is getting better and all these things. Everyone wants to put out a diversity statement. Everybody wants to have a diversity council or whatever, you know, all these boards to show that we are progressing and everything. On the front page of of Eastman School of Music's diversity page, whatever they have going on, there was a mistake that wasn't.
No, it wasn't a mistake, girl.
It was a mistake on their part. I'm like, it looks pretty intentional to us, but I'm sure this is not what they meant to put up. But it's diversity with this, you know, whatever the background of Eastman and everything, and it says underneath where you would think maybe they're writing a quote or something, says maybe write a nice quote here talking about diversity at Eastman.
Eastman has really been in the news for very bad things related to diversity. So honestly, he counts the whole damn school.
That is that.
Like, I'm sorry, I get wanting to associate yourself with these level of schools because they have been put in such high regard, and being a person of color who can say you've gone to this and you have gotten through and all this yada yada.
I'm sorry, like, but then, I'm you know how I feel about old white institutions.
Yes.
Everyone should know this by now. And this fuels my point. Again, that these white institutions, these predominantly white institutions that do this, they're never held accountable because that just told us what they really care about diversity. They don't. They're like, oh, maybe put something about diversity here. Maybe, just maybe. And then also, again, why ain't nobody hired to do proofreading like that? What was it last year when they had the black thing, the black musicians about black music, and all they had was white people on the poster?
Oh, was that Eastman or was that Oberlin?
That was Oberlin.
That was Oberlin. But these big institutions don't have proofreaders.
They don't
pay all this money.
They don't care. That's the whole thing. They'll get someone to proofread that Mozart program note, but they won't get someone to proofread this.
Well, in that case, I don't give a damn about your program. Please cease to exist. Goodbye.
Not at all.
On a good note, though, the Senate finally made a correct decision.
Did they?
Did they do it as a whole? No.
No. It was no one expected that. But
they did it for every other. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going.
I don't think has any other one was unanimous.
No, they were never unanimous. But
okay, yeah,
way bigger.
Oh, well, yeah. But yes. Anyways, she got through. That's all that matters.
Yes. Congratulations. Absolutely.
Congratulations.
It pissed me off. It pissed me off that these people are asking her all these outlandish questions to her that has nothing to do with being a judge. First of all, this lady right here is the most overly qualified candidate they probably had in the entire existence of the United States Supreme Court. And you asking her to define what a woman is.
That was I watched all of the confirmation hearings. And it was laughable. I skipped all the Democrats because I knew they were giving her breaks to just not really talk, or some of them asked her questions and it was just fine. But I wanted to watch all the Republicans because it was laughable what these people were asking them, especially Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, was it Holly?
The one from Tennessee.
Lindsey Graham was the worst. I was like, really? Did we?
You know what? The girls. Y'all know who the girls. They said that Lindsey Graham.
He probably floating around there in South Carolina.
Not probably. The people in South Carolina, if you were listening, had the girls out there. Mm-hmm. I heard Lindsey Graham was on the payroll.
But I mean,
evidence.
Let us uplift, let us congratulate Ketanji Brown Jackson because she, oh my, blessings to you.
The award for patience.
Oh my God, the patience.
But like, first of all the black people that was watching this, like the black mama where you ask something stupid and the black mama,
she goes, Senator.
Just thank you Senator. For allowing me to expound. I was like, girl, I would.
No,
but she couldn't.
The amount of patience. But you know what? And hate to bring this, but I have to. The amount of strength a black woman has to have to do it. The fact that she had to stay calm because she knew she had to. Because soon as she would just show a little bit of anger, that would have been smeared everywhere.
Now, she's too emotional.
Now, what was his name? Brett Kavanaugh was out here going off and everything. Like, he never was labeled as aggressive. Never.
He was passionate. He was passionate. He was defending himself.
I will say the third day, the last day of her, like, that she talked to them, she started to get a little bit more pointed, and I was here for it. Because she was like, so the first day she wore purple, royalty, you know, because she's a royal girl. We love it. Second day was red. That was a long day. That was like the 11-hour day. And the third day she wore blue. And that blue day has some spiciness. Like, I think Senator Cruz said, blah, 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 blah. And she was saying, I have spoken on this before in the past 2 days.
Yep.
And if you have any other questions, I will then answer them. And I was like, tell him, as per my last email, throwing uppercuts.
Right.
Like,
as I stated before,
oh my Lord.
Said what I said, and she left it there.
And she did, but we Eastman, how much you want to bet that was like, you know those speeches you hear where they put some funny stuff in there, and they didn't take it out while they were reading the speech, or they slipped up over it. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Los Angeles weird.
Anyways, that's what happened with Eastman. That's what happened with Eastman. I swear they were like, "Hey, can you post this for me later?" And they didn't look at it. They said post, and they said,
"Guess what?"
And this is always what I say. Those institutions are never going to change because you're adding this little here thing and here little this. It's still the institution. Until that thing is taken down and rebuilt in its entirety, these things will continue to happen. So, I mean, you go, I encourage these youngins, y'all young children, young POCs who are going out here and you want to go to these institutions and be associated with this. This is what you're going to be associated with. So just please be mindful, be aware that some of these institutions will accept you for a quota, and this shows that, unfortunately. It does not show that they care about those students. What are they doing to make sure that you are okay? What are they doing to make sure your experience, that you feel comfortable around your colleagues, you feel comfortable about your professors, you feel comfortable to say anything like, oh, hey, I experienced this and I really don't know like what I should do about it, to have people go, we need to figure this out. You know, I want to make sure that you feel safe. This is not that. This is the performative side of what they want to say they have there. So when we are older and it is our time to be making these donations and grants to keep these programs going, remember this.
Well, but
remember this.
Things will always be crazy. But we always want to talk about it too. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please comment down below. We'd love to hear what you got to say. Also, for all the people who are Team Michael.
Y'all about to get blocked.
Hey, let them be
we're done.